It was going to be a fresh start, but instead it turned into the family's greatest struggle so far, Kody Pass. The title itself held the promise of 1,000 dreams. Hello friends and welcome back. I hope you're all doing well by God's grace. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. For years, the Brown family had whispered about it in appreciative, optimistic whispers, a land where they could at last put down roots, build their own homes, and live side by side as a single, large, happy family. The property was wild and gorgeous, with rolling hills and tall pines, and a view that went on forever. It was the sort of place where you could picture kids laughing, flowers blooming, and Sunday barbecues beneath the boundless Arizona sky. But as the sun began to set over those hills, coloring the sky in hues of gold and purple, a storm was brewing, one that would risk dividing the family. Kody Brown stood on the property line. Her arms crossed over herself as the wind flew through her hair. She had always cherished this hour of day when the world hung in abeyance and anything could happen. But not tonight. Tonight her heart was weighted. She had left Kody, the man with whom she'd shared her life for over 20 years. She had left behind the only family she had ever known, looking for freedom, joy, and a sense of identity that had been well hidden under the yoke of plural marriage. Kody's choice had not been easy. She'd wrestled with it for months, caught between her love for her children and the necessity of finally doing something for herself. She'd ultimately opted for freedom. She'd opted to be an example to her daughters of how it was acceptable to require respect, to pursue your dreams, and to never accept anything less than your worth. But she had no idea her next battle would be with Robyn, the woman she used to think of as a sister-in-law. It began with a letter. It came on a sunny, cold morning amidst the normal envelope full of bills and advertisements. Kody barely saw it at first, but there was something about the formal-looking cover that made her slow down. She ripped it open, her fingers shaking as she read what was written inside. Robyn and Kody had submitted documents to stake claim to the best of Kody Pass, the property with the panoramic views, the ancient cottonwoods, and the sole natural spring for miles. It was the centerpiece of the land, the place everyone had secretly coveted. Kody's stomach lurched. Hadn't they all promised to divide the property in half? Hadn't they promised over and over that no one wife would be favored over another? The betrayal cut deep. Kody remembered the countless family meetings, the hours spent poring over maps and blueprints, the laughter and the arguments and the tears. She remembered Robyn's promises. We're in this together, Kody, no matter what. Now those words felt hollow. Kody's mind was racing. Was this Kody's suggestion, or had Robyn prodded him, taking advantage of her status as the legally married wife to have her way? Kody always knew she was the outsider, particularly after Robyn came into the family. Kody's focus had changed, and the other wives had grappled to fit in. But this was different. This was a line in the sand. She called Janelle first. Janelle was the practical one, the peacekeeper. If anyone could put sense into this chaos, it would be her. Janelle, did you know about this? Kody trembled as she read the letter. Janelle let out a sigh. I heard something about it, but I didn't think they'd do it. I'm so sorry, Kody. This isn't right. Kody's eyes pricked with tears. What am I going to do? I contributed everything to this family. I contributed to the purchase of that land. I raised all the kids. How can they just shut me out? Janelle was silent for a bit. You can't let them. You have to fight for what belongs to you. Kody hung up and gazed out at the country. Her thoughts reeling. Memories came flooding back. Birthday parties beneath the stars. Late-night conversations with the other wives. The way the children would run through the fields. Their giggles echoing across the hills. She had bled her heart and soul into this family, into this dream. She couldn't leave it all behind. But the prospect of a fight to take her family to court, to expose all of their dirty laundry to the world, made her ill. Kody had always sought to be peacemaker, to prioritize the family. But where was that got her? Alone, betrayed, and on the brink of losing everything she'd ever worked for. She considered her daughters, particularly Truly, her baby. What sort of lesson would she be teaching them if she simply gave up? What would she be showing them about fighting for themselves, about standing up for their rights?
No.
Christine brushed away the tears. She wouldn't let Robyn and Kody win like this. Not without a battle. The following family meeting was strained. They convened in the sitting room of Robyn's home. The tension heavy with unresolved issues. Kody sat at the head of the table, his features pinched and exhausted. Robyn sat next to him, her hand protectively on his arm. Janelle and Mary sat opposite them, their faces guarded. Christine breathed deeply. I received the letter. I understand what you're attempting to do. Robyn's eyes widened, but she remained silent. Kody coughed. Christine, we just figured since you're no longer part of the family, it seemed like a good idea for us to. Christine interrupted. I financed that property. Kody, I sat in on every discussion, every vote. You can't just exclude me because I left you. Robyn addressed her calmly, but firmly. Christine, I'm only trying to protect my children. If you're not going to stay, it doesn't benefit you to have the most desirable part of the property. Christine's outrage blazed. So, you get to determine what's fair. You get to take whatever you want, and the rest of us just have to take it? Kody attempted to stop her, but Christine wasn't done. I'm not asking for special treatment. I just want what's mine, what I earned. The room grew quiet. For the first time, Christine noticed fear in Robyn's eyes. Perhaps she hadn't anticipated Christine to fight back. Perhaps she thought Christine would simply walk away again like she always had, but not this time. Following the meeting, Christine sat in her vehicle, her hands trembling. She knew what she needed to do. She phoned her attorney, laid out the situation, and inquired as to what her choices were. You have a good case, said the lawyer. You helped pay for the land. You are entitled to your portion. Christine's spirits lifted. Maybe, just maybe, she had a chance. Maybe she could finally assert herself and teach her daughters that they deserve more. But the path to come wouldn't be simple. The family was already fractured, and this battle would only tear them further under her. Christine would be branded the villain, the troublemaker, the one who destroyed the family's hopes and dreams. But she didn't care. She was tired of being the peacemaker. She was tired of sacrificing her own happiness for everyone else. As the days went by, the family tension increased. Christine was supported by Janelle, but was silenced by Mary, who did not know which side to support. Kody and Robyn stood firm, not willing to give in. The other children caught wind of the change. Their once thriving home, now full of secrets and slammed doors. Christine attempted to protect her children from the worst of it, but they weren't dumb. They noticed the distress in her eyes, the way she jumped at the ring of the phone. They heard the fights, the recriminations, the sobs. One evening, while tucking Truly into bed, Christine's daughter gazed up at her with big, frightened eyes. Are we going to lose our home, Mommy? Christine's heart shattered. She hugged Truly close.
No, sweetheart.
I swear. I'm going to battle for us. I'm going to give us our own home. The battle for Coyote Pass was on. Christine knew it was going to be dirty, would bring up so many old wounds and force the family to face truths they had avoided for so long. But she also knew that it was worth it. For too long, she'd put everyone else's needs before her own. For too long, she'd let herself be knocked to the side. Not now, as she stood at the border of the land, the wind in her hair and the stars just starting to twinkle above. Christine made a quiet promise. She would battle for her portion of Coyote Pass. She would battle for her children, for her future, and for the respect due her, no matter what it cost. Lines were drawn, and the family was never the same. The Browns had always been a united front. For years, they'd weathered the world together. Judgment, financial hardship, and the everyday madness of managing a sprawling, unconventional family. Now, with the battle over Coyote Pass heating up, that unity was disintegrating. The land meant to unite them was dividing them. Christine could feel the change from almost the very start. It was in how the family group chat fell silent, how dinners became tense and abrupt. Even the kids who had been as close as siblings began to feel it too. The atmosphere in the Brown houses was thick. like everybody was expecting a storm to burst. The first signs of division, Janelle was the one who first dared open her mouth about Christine. She's always practical of both sides to any question. But now she made a little distinction. Christine deserved half of the land. One afternoon, Christine and Janelle went for coffee at the small cafe at town. The place was quiet, a spot where they could talk without being overheard. "I just don't get how they can do this," Christine replied, stirring her coffee mindlessly. "We all made that agreement, Janelle. We all sat at that table and vowed we'd do the right thing." Janelle nodded, her expression grim. "I know, and you have a right to fight for it. You worked as hard as anyone else. Harder, maybe. I've got your back, Christine. Whatever you want." Christine felt a wave of gratitude. In a family where loyalty was everything, Janelle's support meant the world. But she also knew it would put Janelle in a difficult position. Siding with Christine meant going against Kody and Robyn, and that was never easy. Mary's silence. Mary, the initial wife, was more difficult to pin down. She'd always been somewhat of a loner, particularly after her own issues with Kody and the family. Christine called her up, hoping for solidarity, but Mary played it coy. "I just want everyone to be happy," Mary told her in a charged phone conversation. "I don't want to take sides." Christine knew, but it stung. She recalled the days in the beginning when she and Mary had been friends, exchanging secrets and hopes till the wee hours of the morning. But jealousy, heartache, and changing loyalties had pushed them apart. Now Mary was happy just to sit on the sidelines and watch, not willing to jeopardize what little peace she had remaining. Robyn's justification. Robyn, on the other hand, was doubling down. She countered that what she did was done to save her children's future and not for greed or favoritism. During a family meeting, Robyn attempted to clarify. "Christine, I'm not trying to hurt you. But you left. You made your choice. My kids are still here, and I have to think about them." Christine's anger was renewed. "So, just because I left, I don't matter anymore. My kids don't matter." Robyn's eyes welled up with tears, but her voice did not waver. "That's not what I'm saying. But circumstances are different now. We have to go forward." Kody, who sat next to Robyn, nodded his head in agreement. "Christine, you know that I love you, but you left this family. You can't expect everything to remain the same." Christine felt she was disappearing. Her sacrifices and love of a lifetime washed away by a few harsh words. She searched the room for comprehension, but saw only empty faces and a sea of silence. The children caught in the middle. The most difficult thing for Christine was seeing her children suffer. They'd grown up in a world where family came first, where their siblings were their closest friends, and their mothers provided support for each other at all times. Now, they were having to take sides. Espagne, Christine's oldest daughter, phoned her one evening in tears. "Mom, I don't know what to do. I love Aunt Robyn, but what she's doing isn't right. I feel like I'm losing my family." Christine's heart broke. "You don't have to choose, honey. I'll always be your mom, and I'll always love you no matter what happens." But Christine understood that it wasn't so simple. The children were old enough to get what was going on, and the boundaries being established would scar over and never be the same. Kody's struggle. Kody, meanwhile, was fighting to maintain control. He'd always believed he was the family head, the one who could keep everyone in line, but now his control was slipping away. The wives were taking matters into their own hands, and the children were challenging his decisions. He summoned a family gathering, hoping to smooth things over, but rather than harmony, he encountered opposition. "I just want us to be a family," Kody implored. "We can do this without lawyers and the courts." But Christine shook her head. "You had your opportunity, Kody. You could have done what was right, but you chose Robyn. You chose to exclude me." Janelle nodded in accord.
This isn't about land.
"Kody, it's about respect. It's about doing what is right." Kody glanced around the room, his expression lined with frustration. For the first time ever, he understood that he could not necessarily repair this. The community reacts. Word of the family feud started getting out beyond their own four walls. Their friends, neighbors, and even some members of their church community began to take sides themselves. Some sided with Christine, praising her strength and determination. Others aligned with Robyn and Kody and felt that Christine had given up her rights by walking out. The Browns were always a curiosity in their own neighborhood. Their bohemian life both envied and maligned. Their personal agony was now becoming public rumor. Christine attempted to tune out the rumors, but it wasn't easy. She noticed the glances in the supermarket, heard the gossip in church. Some regarded her as a hero, some as a traitor. But Christine would not be shamed. She kept her head held high, refusing to back down from a fight for what was right. Janelle's dilemma. Janelle's defense of Christine had consequences. Her relationship with Kody became strained, and she found herself stuck in the middle of a war she never wanted. One night, Janelle sat down with her own kids to tell them what was going on. "I know this is difficult," she said softly, "but I think it's important to stand up for what is right. Christine has the right to her portion, and I'm going to assist her." Her kids nodded, but Janelle could see the worry in their eyes. They loved their siblings, their aunts, and even Robyn's children. The thought of losing those relationships was almost too much to bear. Janelle hugged them tightly. "No matter what happens, we're still a family. We'll get through this together." Christine's resolve. As the weeks went by, Christine's determination only intensified. She consulted with her attorney, assembled records, and braced herself for battle. She knew it wouldn't be a cakewalk, but she was determined to get through it. She began writing out what was going through her mind, spilling her hurt and anger onto the paper. Writing was her therapy, a means of sorting out the maelstrom of feelings raging within her. It was one night that she penned these words. "I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I can't let them take everything from me. I have to fight for myself, for my kids, for the life I deserve." The family fractures. The once close family began to fracture. Family dinners became rare. And when they did happen, the tension was palpable. Conversations were stilted. Laughter forced. The children, once inseparable, now spent more time apart. Christine tried to keep things normal for her kids, but it was impossible. The fight over Coyote Pass was all anyone could talk about. One day, Christine discovered truly sitting alone by herself in her room, staring out the window. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Christine asked softly. Truly shrugged. "I miss everyone. I miss when we were all together." Christine hugged her daughter and held back tears. "I know, baby. I miss it too. But sometimes things have to change. Sometimes we have to stand up for ourselves, even when it's hard." Robyn's isolation. Robyn, too, was under pressure. She had always been close to her sister wives, particularly Christine. Now she felt alone, her behavior pushing her away from the rest of the family. She spoke with Kody one evening, her voice shaking. "I never wanted this, Kody. I just wanted to protect our kids." Kody gripped her hand. "I know, Robyn, but perhaps we did it all wrong." Robyn shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I just wish things could return to the way they used to be." But she knew deep down that was not possible. The battle lines had been drawn, and there was no turning back. A family changed forever. As the battle for Coyote Pass heated up, the Browns were compelled to face the fact that their family would never be the same. The harmony they'd once loved was lost, now replaced by mistrust, anger, and heartache. Christine, Janelle, Mary, Robyn, and Kody all retreated to their own corners, licking their own wounds and bracing for battle. The children, caught in the middle, struggled to cling to the love and bond that had always characterized their family. But the harm was done. The Browns were no longer a cohesive unit. They were a fractured family, each of whom was fighting for his or her share of the dream. And as Christine gazed out over the land, she'd struggled so hard to keep. She knew that the true battle was only just starting. The world watched as family secrets spilled out in court. The day that Christine filed her lawsuit, it all came to a head. What had been a family tragedy in private became a public drama. The Browns had long lived in the public eye, but now their deepest shame was about to be exposed for the world to witness. Christine's attorney, a tough and empathetic woman named Miss Ramirez, walked her through it. "Christine, this won't be easy. The other side will resist with all their might, but you have a very good case. You were part of the Coyote Pass purchase. You do have a right to your share." Christine nodded, her nerves fraying. She had never thought she would be the one to sue her own family. But when she glanced over at her children, she knew what she had to do. This wasn't about the land. It was about respect, dignity, and what she wanted for her kids and herself. The media frenzy. The news of the lawsuit went viral. Headlines shouted, "Sister Wives Family at War." Paparazzi staked out the courthouse, waiting to see the Browns walk out. Social media went wild with reactions. Some cheered on Christine, but others accused her of destroying the family. Christine attempted to filter out the sound, but it was futile. Each time she opened her phone, she was greeted by her own face gracing gossip pages and TV talk shows. She felt naked, exposed, and lonelier than ever. But she would not give up. She kept telling herself again and again that she was doing this for her children, for her future, and for every woman who had ever been told to sit down and shut up, preparing for battle. The weeks before the trial were a whirlwind of meetings, forms, and lack of sleep. Christine and Miss Ramirez spent countless hours studying financial records, emails, and text messages. Anything that would substantiate Christine's input to the family and the land. Janelle was by Christine's side every step of the way. She provided documents, wrote a statement, and even agreed to testify if needed. "You're not alone in this," Janelle told her. "We're in this together." While Robyn and Kody prepared for battle, they put together their own legal team. Their attorney, Mr. Hargrove, was infamous for his brutal approach and biting words. He established early on that he would stop at nothing to emerge victorious. Tensions between the two factions were running high. Family members who used to share holidays and meals were now sidestepping one another in the supermarket. Children who were in the middle of it all attempted to maintain harmony, but the tension was clear. The first day in court, the trial day, began cold and gray. Christine got dressed with care, wearing a modest blue dress and a necklace her daughter had given her as a good luck charm. While she entered the courthouse, cameras blazed and reporters yelled out her name. Inside, the courtroom was filled. Christine, Janelle, and Miss Ramirez sat on one side. Robyn, Kody, and Mr. Hargrove sat on the other. The judge, a strict woman with gentle eyes, brought the room to order. Miss Ramirez started out with a strong opening statement. "Your Honor, my client, Kody Brown, spent decades of her life on her family. She paid in financially, emotionally, and physically to buy and upkeep Coyote Pass. She is not seeking more than her fair share, only what she earned," Mr. Hargrove responded. Kody Brown voluntarily left the family. In doing so, she waived her right to the property. "My clients, Robyn and Kody Brown, have maintained the property and the children. They should be able to retain what is theirs." Christine's heart raced as the judge nodded in readiness to begin testimony. Christine's testimony. Christine stepped up to the stand, her hand shaking. She testified about her time in the family, the sacrifices she'd made, the money she'd contributed, the dreams she'd shared with her sister wives. "I loved this family," Christine exclaimed, her voice cracking. "I gave everything I had. I helped purchase that land because I believed in our dream. I believed we'd all have a place there no matter what happened." Miss Ramirez walked her through the particulars. Bank statements, receipts, emails documenting Christine's participation in each phase of the land purchase. Mr. Hargrove attempted to unsettle her. "Miss Brown, isn't it the case that you simply abandoned the family on your own volition? That you quit your obligations?" Christine held his stare. "I quit because I had to, but that doesn't take away from all that I did beforehand. I was there. I contributed my portion. I am entitled to my portion." Robyn's defense, Robyn, then took the stand. She was exhausted, her eyes puffy from crying. She testified to her concerns about her children, wanting to safeguard their future. "I never wanted to hurt Christine," Robyn told the court in a low voice. "But things changed after she left me. I have to look after my kids. I have to give them a home." Mr. Hargrove portrayed Robyn as a good mother, doing what needed to be done in a bad situation. He contended that Christine's leaving left the family open to attack and that Robyn and Kody had filled the void. But when cross-examined, Miss Ramirez probed Robyn about the pledges she had made. Did you not commit in front of the whole family to dividing the land equally? Robyn hesitated. We discussed it, yes, but things came up. Miss Ramirez nodded. Things changed, but does that negate Christine's efforts? Robyn looked down, not answering. Kody's turn. Kody's testimony was tearful. He testified about how much he loved all of his wives, how much he wanted to preserve the family unit, and his sorrow over Christine's leaving. I never wanted this, Kody testified, his voice breaking. I wanted us all together, but Christine left. She made her choice. Miss Ramirez was persistent. Mr. Brown, did Christine make a contribution toward the acquisition of Coyote Pass? Kody nodded grudgingly. Yes, she did. And did you promise her a portion of the land? Kody paused. We discussed it, but I never imagined she'd leave. Miss Ramirez continued. So, your promise lasted only if Christine remained in the marriage. Kody could not look at her. Janelle's testimony. Janelle's testimony was a turning point. She testified strongly about Christine's place in the family, her economic contributions, and the promises made. Christine was involved in all of it. Janelle said she contributed her share. She worked, and she was a believer in our vision. It's not fair to remove her now. Her testimony was persuasive. The judge heard attentively, jotting down notes as Janelle recited the family's agreements and the personal sacrifices Christine had made. The emotional toll. The trial went on for days. Christine lived a nightmare. Her life picked apart and argued over by strangers. She slept little, remembering better times and the potential for losing it all. Robyn was not faring any better. She stayed out of Christine's way in the courthouse corridors, her face pale and pinched. Kody became increasingly withdrawn, his confidence rocked by all the attention. The kids observed from the sidelines as the fight between their mothers destroyed their lives. Some wrote to the judge, pleading for an end to the war. Others remained quiet, fearing they would take sides. Families' secrets exposed. As the trial went on, old wounds were opened up. Attorneys plumbed the family's finances, bringing secrets and grudges that had simmered for years into the light of day. Fights over money, resentment, and broken promises came tumbling out into the air. Christine felt naked, but strangely free. For the very first time, she was sharing her story, her truth. She would not be shamed or silenced. Robyn became more and more defensive. She said she was only acting in the best interest of her children. But the cracks in her tale came through. The judge's questions. The judge asked hard questions, questioning the family's arrangements and the motives behind them. Did you ever sign your agreement? She asked. Christine shook her head. No, Your Honor. We trusted each other. We were like a family. The judge nodded. And do you think that trust was broken? Christine's eyes welled up with tears. Yes, I do. The final arguments on the final day of the trial. Both sides presented their final arguments. Miss Ramirez stood in front of the judge, her voice firm and unwavering. Your Honor, this is a case about fairness. It's about keeping our word to one another, even when circumstances change. Christine Brown sacrificed everything for her family. She's entitled to her share of Coyote Pass. Mr. Hargrove replied, Christine Brown made her own decision to leave. My clients have kept nurturing the land and the kids. They must not be penalized for Christine's decisions. The judge thanked them both and assured that she would soon deliver her judgment. Waiting for the verdict the following days were torturous. Christine struggled to keep herself occupied, but her thoughts were filled with anxiety. What if she lost? What if all of this was for nothing? Janelle remained by Christine's side, providing reassurance. Whatever the outcome, you did what you were supposed to do. She said to Christine, you stood up for yourself. That counts. Robyn and Kody pulled back, staying at home more often, keeping out of sight. The family was broken, each person bearing their own scars. A family forever changed. The courtroom confrontation had altered everything. The Browns were no longer a family, but opponents, each seeking their own sense of justice. But in it all, Christine never lost hope. She felt that whether or not she won her case, she had finally found her voice. She had spoken up for herself, for her kids, and for the future that was rightfully hers. And as she sat through the waiting game that was the judge's ruling, Christine knew one thing for certain. She would never be silenced again. One decision changed everything. The courthouse was quiet, the sort of quiet that pushes in on your ears and gets your heart racing. Christine was at the plaintiff's table, her fists balled in her lap, her knuckles white. Janelle was sitting next to her, a calm presence, her support unshakable. Robyn and Kody were seated across the aisle from them, faces pinched and tense. The judge's chamber's door dominated the front of the room, and all eyes were on it. The days that had passed since the trial had been some of the longest Christine had ever known. She'd relived every scene in her mind. Her testimony, Robyn's tears, Kody's evasions, Janelle's impassioned defense. She'd questioned if she'd spoken enough, if she'd been too emotional, if the judge would be able to discern the truth through the family's confusing web of promises and hurt. Outdoors, the media spectacle raged on. Journalists set up camp on the courthouse steps, their cameras poised to catch the moment the verdict was read. Social media was filled with speculation and support, but also criticism and judgment. Christine attempted to tune it out, concentrating on her children, her religion, and the prayer that justice would be served. The judge returns. Finally, the judge came into the courtroom, her face inscrutable. Everybody stood up, then sat as she sat down and fumbled through her papers. The air was so charged with tension that it was difficult to breathe. The judge started speaking, her voice steady and calm. This is not an easy case.
It is not just about land.
It's about trust, family, and the vows we make to each other. The law understands both financial and emotional inputs to joint property, and it is my responsibility to balance those inputs equitably. Christine's heart pounded inside her chest. She clutched for Janelle's hand beneath the tablecloth, pressing it for courage. The judge went on to say, upon examination of the evidence, which includes financial documentation, testimony from everybody involved, and statements by family members, I conclude that Kody Brown did indeed contribute greatly to buying and holding Coyote Pass. She was a 50-50 partner in the dream of the family, and the fact that she is leaving the marriage does not negate years of investment and sacrifice. Christine's eyes pricked with tears. She didn't dare glance at Robyn or Kody. The judge spoke firmly. Thus, I decree that Coyote Pass be divided fairly. Kody Brown is to receive a fair portion of the property as determined by a court-appointed mediator. If the parties are unable to agree on the precise division, a collective gasp swept the courtroom. Christine's breath froze in her throat. She had prevailed. The immediate aftermath, Christine stood motionless for an instant. Relief and disbelief mixed with a stomach twisting. Aching sadness overwhelmed her all at once. She went to Janelle, who embraced her, saying, "Over and over, you did it. You really did it." On the other side of the aisle, Robyn's face twisted. She hid in her hands, shoulders trembling with silent tears. Kody sat stiffly, his jaw hard, eyes focused forward. The life he had envisioned of a unified family, of peace and common cause, had been shattered in an instant. The gavel struck and the courtroom exploded in a flurry of motion. The reporters sprinted for the doors. Phones chimed with breaking news notifications, and the Browns' attorneys started collecting their papers. Christine moved through water. Every noise drowned out. Every movement a slow-motion exercise. Outside, cameras flashed when Christine and Janelle appeared. Shouts of questions were yelled by reporters, but Christine held her head high, her eyes glistening with tears.
She didn't have to speak.
The verdict did the work. Robyn and Kody's reaction inside. Robyn and Kody sat in stunned silence. Robyn wept openly, her visions of safety and security for her children vanishing. Kody attempted to console her, but his own grief was fresh and visible. "I thought we were doing the right thing," Robyn whispered. "I just wanted to protect our family." Kody shook his head, his voice empty. We lost our focus. We allowed fear and pride to interfere. For the first time, Robyn questioned whether she'd been mistaken, whether in her desperation to cling to what she had, she'd pushed the very one she loved away. Janelle's quiet triumph. Janelle, always the level head, felt an inner sense of victory. She had defended Christine, even at the risk of losing her own position within the family. She knew the price of doing the right thing, and she was proud of her friend for being brave enough to stand up for herself. Later, when Christine and Janelle sat together in Christine's kitchen, Janelle made them both a cup of tea. You proved them wrong, Christine. You proved everyone that you cannot simply wash away someone's work because they take a different road. Christine smiled, her eyes weary but full of hope. I couldn't have done it without you, Janelle. You were my rock. Janelle squeezed her hand. We are family. That is what family does. The children's response. The kids were confused. Some were thrilled for their mom, admiring her strength and spirit. Others were upset, distressed by the tearing apart of their parents and the uncertainty of their future. Aspen, Christine's oldest, phoned her as soon as word got out. Mom, I'm so proud of you. You fought for what's right. You taught us all how to stand up for ourselves. Truly young and vulnerable. Just wanted things to revert to how they used to be. Does this mean we can have our own house now, Mommy? She asked, looking at her with eyes full of hope. Christine embraced her with all her might. Yes, sweetheart. We're going to have our own home, a house all to ourselves. Don't be afraid to fight for what's right. The legacy of Coyote Pass. Quiet Pass, where only a few months before they had danced together in celebration, had turned into a battleground. But ultimately, it was also a site of new beginnings. Christine's win was not about land. It was about taking back her voice, her power, and her future. Standing on her portion of the land, seeing the sun go down behind the hills. Christine felt a peace she had not known in years. She was aware there would be more struggle in the days to come, but she was prepared to meet them. She had struggled for her part, and she had emerged victorious. But more than that, she had discovered herself. Out of the ashes of strife, a new page was turned. The dust had at last settled on Coyote Pass. The court case was done, the verdict rendered, and the world had gone on to the next news story. But for Christine Brown, the true tale had only just started. The land she had so tenaciously desired was finally hers. A blank page awaiting her painting a new life. Christine was on her share of Coyote Pass, the Arizona sun baking her face. The air was crisp with the aroma of wild sage and pine. She shut her eyes and listened to the wind, a peace she had not felt in years. For the first time, she was really free, building a new home with the court ruling in her favor. Christine dove into constructing her new house. She consulted architects and contractors, studying blueprints and drawings. She envisioned a home that embodied her character, open, sunny, and hospitable. She selected large windows to allow sunlight in, a homey kitchen to share meals with family, and a garden where she could tend her own vegetables. Her kids assisted every step of the way. Aspen and Michael T. selected paint colors while Truly sketched out pictures of the backyard she envisioned. Even Janelle's children got involved, assisting with removing rocks and putting in flowers. They giggled at old memories, shed tears over lost years, and vowed to hold each other's hands through thick and thin. Robyn and Kody had a different journey. The court case had left wounds, and their relationship was tense. They focused on their children, attempting to rebuild stability and trust. Robyn extended an olive branch to Christine, apologizing for the hurt she had inflicted. It wasn't pleasant, but Christine accepted her apology, opting for peace rather than bitterness. The kids, having been caught in the middle, started to forge their own path. They spent time at one another's houses, observed birthdays and holidays with each other, and gradually rebuilt the ties that had been strained by the family's ordeal. They discovered that love could weather even the most turbulent storms. Christine's message, Christine's tale, spoke to people far beyond her immediate family. Women all across the nation wrote, relating their own tales of hardship and victory. Christine was a symbol for many, a testament that it was possible to be strong and be yourself and still be loved. She began giving talks at local gatherings, telling her story and urging others to speak up. Her message was straightforward yet potent. You are worthy. You deserve respect. Don't be afraid to fight for what's right. Christine's blog expanded into a community, a sanctuary where women could tell their stories, seek advice, and support one another. She replied to every message, providing words of hope and encouragement. Lessons learned in hindsight. Christine learned that the battle over Coyote Pass had taught her more than she could have anticipated. She learned that being in your own corner isn't selfish, it's survival. She learned that family isn't blood or spouse, but love, respect, and support. She learned that forgiveness is a gift you grant yourself, and healing takes time. She learned it's all right to move on from the past, to have new dreams, and to live a life that brings happiness. Most importantly, she discovered she was stronger than she ever realized. A new chapter as the seasons turned.
So, did Christine?
She took pleasure in the simple things. A sunrise over the mountains, a cup of coffee on the porch, a hug from her children. She celebrated every milestone. No matter how small, her place became a hub, a place of music, laughter, and affection. She had holiday dinners, birthday celebrations, and Sunday brunches. She welcomed friends, relatives, and even a neighbor she barely knew. Her door was always open, her heart always inviting. Christine began new traditions with her kids. Movie nights, outdoor adventures, and baking days. They also planted a tree in the backyard, a symbol of their new life. They watched it grow each year, its roots digging deeper into the ground, its arms stretching up to the sky. The ripple effect's fearlessness encouraged others. Women in her neighborhood started to assert themselves to insist on respect and parity in their own lives. Some broke free from abusive relationships. Others began businesses or went back to school. Christine celebrated for them, happy to be included in their journey. Her tale was published in magazines and on talk shows. She was a guest lecturer at conferences, invited to deliver her message of hope and perseverance. She encountered women from every background, each with a similar story of struggle and victory. Christine came to understand that her battle over Coyote Pass was not just about land. It was about transforming the world. Voice by voice, a family reimagined. The Browns were not the family they used to be, but they were a family. They understood how to embrace their differences, forgive one another, and go on. They celebrated successes, comforted each other during sorrow, and developed new ways of staying together. Christine and Janelle stayed close, their friendship stronger than ever before. They stood by each other during every test, laughing together, crying together, and dreaming of tomorrow. Mary discovered her own way, embracing her independence and searching out her interests again. She and Christine became friends once more, their bond strengthened by the tests they had endured. Robyn and Kody turned their attention to their children, working to regain trust and establish stability within the home. They learned to release the past, to embrace what they could not change, and to appreciate what they still had. The children matured, each forging their own path in life. They took the lessons of their family with them, lessons of love, strength, and the value of fighting for that which is right. Christine's legacy years went by, and Christine's tale became a legacy, a testament that it's never too late to begin anew, to struggle for your aspirations, and to live a life that brings joy to you. She saw her children grow up, beaming with pride at the individuals they were becoming. She watched them stand their ground, pursue their dreams, and stick together through every ordeal. Christine realized that her story wasn't about her. It was about every woman who had ever been invisible, every mother who had ever put her own happiness aside for her family, every individual who had ever been told they were not enough. Her journey was a shining light of hope, a witness to courage, the strength of love and new beginnings, a final reflection. One night, with the sun setting over Coyote Pass, Christine sat on her porch, tea in her cup. She sat and watched the sky grow pink and gold, the mountains burning in the dying light. She reminisced about all that she had endured, the agony, the struggle, the triumphs and the losses. She smiled, a profound sense of peace coming over her. She had struggled for her portion, for her children, and for herself. She had created a new life, one of love, laughter, and hope. Though Christine was aware there would be greater challenges on the horizon, more storms to navigate. But she was prepared, she was resilient, she was liberated. And as the stars started twinkling overhead at Coyote Pass, Christine mouthed a soft prayer of thanksgiving for the lessons acquired, the love discovered, and the new opportunities that lay ahead.